So in what seems like one of the longest running Nintendo Switch gaming news rumors, you have floating around online the idea that there is still a chance that in 2022 we may see Metroid Prime Remake / Remaster make it to the Nintendo Switch. And regardless of whether or not that happens, in today's video I want to walk down memory lane together, boot up one of my favorite games of all time period that I am eagerly awaiting for a return, that I do believe is a real project. The question is when, and have that final discussion on whether or not we should be expecting Metroid Prime Remaster to come to the Nintendo Switch anytime soon. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now guys, if you can't tell, I'm just a little bit pumped because we get a chance to play and boot up one of my all-time favorite games. Yes, I've done this in videos past, but it has been a while now because sadly, this game has been in the news and rumors cycle for quite some time for the Nintendo Switch as a heavily rumored project from multiple sources, all the names you know and love: Jeff Grubb, Emily Rogers, Nate the Hate, everybody claiming that yes, they know Retro Studios is working on a Metroid Prime 1 big boy remake / remaster treatment, and apparently Echoes and Corruption are going to be coming over at some point also, but they're not sure how those games are coming over. Why we try to save again, I don't know. But you know, it's one of those things that I do think that there is some credence to the logic behind why Nintendo would do this, because you know that they want Metroid Prime 4 to be an incredibly successful sales start for the Metroid series. I mean, yes, we saw a fantastic addition in Dread. Dread is also a 2D action style Metroidvania game because Metroid's so cool it gets its own subgenre, of course, that it created. But you do know that the 2D style of games do not always typically sell as well in the modern era as mainline 3D ones. And if you see just the love and attention and care that Nintendo put forward to that particular installment with their marketing ramp up and all of the hype with all the trailers and promotion they put behind it, they clearly gave that a full-fledged push for it to do as well as it has, and it's already the best selling Metroid game in just over a year after release. And really that happened in about 6 months time, as far as it, I think, at least theoretically in that timeline, it became the best selling Metroid game ever. And that is a 2D edition on a very successful console, mind you, like the Nintendo Switch. But I think when it comes to things like Metroid Prime and the big launch for Metroid Prime 4 that Nintendo is building to, this game makes logical sense. Why are you going to restart a series and create a sequel to a series that originated 20 years ago, which is hard to believe, especially whenever you look at the graphical quality of this game and see how ahead of its time it was. Granted, the GameCube was indeed the last console that Nintendo really competed on power against the other guys with, but that's neither here nor there. This game still looks freaking fantastic to this day, and whenever you think about exposing a whole new generation at this point of fans to Metroid that have grown up as Switch gamers or maybe Wii U gamers, and now you have a Switch because nobody bought the Wii U. All of that to be said, they're going to want to not just start you out on number 4, but I think my personal speculation around this project is that yes, it's most likely finished. Yes, there is probably talk from the developers that they've been sitting on it for a while. Nintendo sits on finished games, and I think that they position this title wherever it needs to fall in terms of what the development cycle for Metroid Prime 4 looks like, because we don't have a clear picture of what's really going on with Prime 4 right now. As much as I would like to be optimistic and say, well, that's going to for sure be a 2023 title, I think it's late 2023 in the absolute best case scenario, and could very easily slide into 2024 and maybe even launch the next generation of Nintendo Switch hardware. We have not seen a single look at the gameplay, the world, not even a snippet like we saw with Pikmin, where you at least got to see kind of what the graphical style was going to look like, and then you got to see some of the camera tactics, how it would be different. And we know that game is slated for 2023. We haven't seen anything for Metroid Prime 4, and so it does lead me to believe that potentially we are looking for a longer development run-in time for that game. And if that is the case, well, then you just wait on Metroid Prime Remaster, and then maybe you trickle down 2 and 3 in there somewhere as well, and you use it as marketing build-up for Prime 4. And that's kind of what I personally believe is going on with this game. Now, in terms of why it's so revolutionary and why it's one of the highest rated Metacritic games of all time, period, and definitely one of the staples of the GameCube era. Well, you just kind of have to realize that it is not common to, oh dear God, I got myself into this, didn't I? So it is not common to, the most intense type of fights, of course, and I'm going to do this while talking at the same time. I should have definitely gone a different path. It is not common to have a first-person shooter slash platformer at the same time. You know, your exploration elements, an entire map system that I will say, and the emulator definitely chugs whenever I go into the map system. But I will say that it, you know, the map could use a little bit of refinement, in my opinion, in something like an HD remaster. But, you know, it's one of those things that this is an iconic game for many different reasons. You don't normally see all these elements blended together so flawlessly. I am personally not the biggest fan of first-person shooter games, period. Like, Call of Duty is literally the most popular game on the planet, and all my friends are into it, and I can't bring myself to really play it for too long. I'll hop into a round or two, but just that first-person perspective when a shooter game, whether it be competitive or not, I typically don't get drawn in or hooked in on those style of games, and that's just how I've always been. Metroid Prime, on the other hand, when I got this for $5 at a local game exchange near where I lived, shout out to game exchanges, there's still some out there, but they're not everywhere anymore, not like they used to be. This was a steal at $5. I had no clue what I was getting into, and then I realized that, yes, I immediately had the hook set in, immediately wanted to progress, get all of Samus's upgrades, does such a good job with certain story cutscene elements, but you're not entirely sure what's going on. Then you realize you have crazy platforming and abilities. I have the double jump and really everything unlocked right now. Spoiler alert, I actually did not complete all of this, but I rather downloaded a save file for the emulator because I am making it a strong point and stance to not replay this game in its entirety until this Switch port that I believe will be coming out eventually hits. Now, I believe this would have been where we found one of the artifact pieces, so I really don't need to be over here. But this is more just about showing kind of the gameplay style and reminiscing over how great it is, in my opinion, and why I think it needs to come back, because, you know, it really does. If you even look at the transition from 2D to 3D there with how they, you know, handle that so smoothly, underwater gameplay, really the type of blend of different styles that is here in this game. And not to mention, if you want to be a completionist, by all means, you can absolutely go through and scan everything in the game, every enemy, and add it to your lore book. Like, the 100, I think it's 101% file, that was the big elusive number. And yeah, that's something that I chased every time I played this game, but I am holding off playing it in serious hopes that we are around the corner from a remake slash remaster. And that brings us back to the topic of when, which is just, in my opinion, a fluid thing. Is there a possibility that it's out this year in 2022? I think the answer to that is still yes, but I'm also very conflicted with why would Nintendo not have shown it at their Nintendo Direct. We just have a save room over here, don't we? Why would Nintendo not have shown it in their Nintendo Direct if that was indeed the plan? Because yes, you can Twitter drop it. Do you want to Twitter drop Metroid? Like, you know, Jeff Grubb speculated that maybe it was something that with the other games going on, Breath of the Wild 2, and how they structured the event, or Tears of the Kingdom rather, how they structured that event, that maybe they didn't feel like that was the right fit for it. But I don't know when else you unveil a major reboot, remake of a classic 20-year-old game. Like, I'm very surprised. I could have made that jump if I didn't. I wouldn't. I don't even have to make that jump. I could just go into Morph Ball. But anyway, you know, it's one of those things that was the event, in my opinion, that made the most sense. So Nintendo's Nintendo, guys. They can do anything and everything, and we see them do that all the time and go super unorthodox. So you can never say never with them. I just also don't necessarily know, I'm using my super bombs, not the regular one. I also don't necessarily know why we wouldn't have got it at that Direct. So yes, I was holding out big hope for this game to be a 2022 title. Again, I definitely think it's one of those things that Nintendo's looking at their calendar different than we are as fans. We're looking at it like, well, we want this game. Why is it not here? It makes all the sense in the world to do it, and we'll buy it. So why is Nintendo not putting it out? However, they are very much looking at it from a business standpoint on how do we leverage this project that we potentially already have done from the sounds of it and make it market the upcoming game that we really want to sell. And dear God, I'm getting canned right now. So let's see. Let's check out our map here. Fortunately, this is like a one-way door blocked off. See, it's been long enough at this point that I cannot remember how to navigate this title, but we're gonna get out of this stressful room. Not fun here at all. Do not recommend. Definitely stay out of after the what are this? I know there's the space pirates, but those revenant type space pirates, whatever they are really messing me up. And we got plenty of energy tanks, but it's just with that intense music and navigating that and trying to talk and think at the same time, whew, that is a task for sure. Back to the topic at hand. There is a slight chance this game comes out in 2022, in my opinion, and I do think it more hinges on everything that is going on at Retro Studios right now with Metroid Prime 4. Can you say that maybe this is just not even a real project and Metroid Prime 4 is the only thing in development and this was all just hearsay that was bad info? Yes, that's definitely a possibility. But I do think that if you just look at it from a business standpoint, that Nintendo will want to remaster this game and remarket it at some point in hopes to drum up new fans in addition to the existing fans of this classic marquee title that just did it so right and so different than anything else. Platforming, exploration, high intensity action, weapon upgrades, the ability to do just crazy puzzle solving. Even Metroid scratches a little itch of just about every major video game genre and puts it together in such a beautiful package. And I highly recommend anybody to check out the series if you haven't. Prime is really what got me into it as a hardcore fan, because when I got so obsessed with the layout of these levels, how they progress, how you have to sometimes backtrack to figure out different paths and ways forward, but then you ultimately get it and you have that aha moment. I got addicted to that, and surely enough, that exists in both the 2D and 3D installments in Metroid franchise. So go buy Dread in the meantime if you only have a Switch and you don't have the means to play Metroid Prime. And I would recommend maybe waiting, because as I mentioned, I do definitely think we will ultimately see it make it over, but the question remains, when will Nintendo finally choose to port over this timeless classic? But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your personal thoughts and nostalgia for Metroid Prime. Did you experience it the first time around when it was released over 20 years ago now at this point, which is just crazy to say, or I guess it will be 20 years in November? Or are you somebody that picked it up later on in life and you maybe started on the second or third one and you would like to see them come back? Or is it entirely new to you and you've never experienced what Metroid Prime has to offer as a game and you're ready to buy it for the first time? Or maybe it's one that doesn't interest you at all. Regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.